50 Cent lost an appeal in a lawsuit against Rick Ross because apparently in 2015, Rick Ross had used a sample from 50 Cent in the club, which, you know, everybody knows that song. And he had used a sample. And, you know, those two guys don't really get along too well. And then 50 Cent sued him. According to the contract, however, see, and this is the thing people don't understand, ownership. Ownership. You can live in a building and say, this is my building. Not really. You live there, but it's not yours. Or, you know, you can you can say somebody that works at BWR, that's right, it's like, it's my company. Well, if you do something bad, you're gone, right? Like this, you get what I'm saying? And 50, he sued based on the fact that he wrote the song, sang it, but Dr. Dre and Eminem owned the song. So this lawsuit was dismissed because he didn't own the rights to the music that he put out. So it got dismissed. He has no say, even though he was the artist performing the song. They said in the lawsuit, well, this is Dr. Dre and Eminem. They own the rights to this song. They didn't sue. You did. You have no rights to sue. You have no claim. Even though he sang the song and wrote it, it might as well be a 50 Cent fan that sued Rick Ross. That's how the court looked at it. And I just thought that was interesting because people really don't think often much about how ownership of assets really work. And it made me think about how a guy like Michael Jackson, once he stopped, people say, oh, Mike fell off. The reason he fell off is because he became a billionaire on the low. No one knew. So he's like, I don't never have to do it. Then they said he was broke, but he's like, he never had to do anything again because when he signed, like, I know it's a bit of a going off on a tangent. Back in 93, 94, he signed a deal with Sony, which has just come into the music business. And he had like a catalog. You guys heard about when he bought the Beatles?
Mm-hmm. It
wasn't just the Beatles. They always say it's just the Beatles. You can look up, it's on Wikipedia right now, who every artist that Michael Jackson owns. There's practically every artist in existence, from Madonna to Prince to, no, not Prince. I don't think he was on there. But everybody that you know. So he signed the deal, said, okay, they're going to pay him $100 million for like 4 or 5 albums. On top of that, they're going to do a joint venture with Sony's publishing, which didn't include Michael Jackson's own song. That belonged to him. Like all his music belonged to him. It was just the Beatles, and he had Little Richard and like all the rock and roll black artists from the 50s. He owned those. Then he put that that was his half of the joint venture, and Sony had their half of the joint venture. And Sony would manage it, but they couldn't do anything drastic without having to get Mike's approval. Now that gives Michael Jackson power, right? Now Sony then goes out from 94, whatever, all the way up until 2000 and becomes the largest music and publishing company in the world. Remember, Mike owned 50% of that. So that became worth like $3-4 billion. Michael Jackson owns 50% of that. He does not have to make music. Remember, like his music basically became whack after that. It was like he wasn't doing anything. Then he came out when he was old and washed up, tried to do another record like I'm Back, and it was just terrible because he's too rich. Who is like, you know, he's not hungry. He's like, okay, I have the best album. I'm a billionaire. What am I doing? Let me just travel the world with my kids. You know, that type of stuff, and play with my whatever Disney world I got at home. So that's just that ownership and owning. You can see it right now. Anybody listening, go Sony/ATV Publishing, and you can see every single artist. Now, ATV Publishing is Michael Jackson's publishing company that owned the Beatles, Little Richard, and so on and so forth. He put that in a joint venture. It was with equity contribution, owned half. Sony went out and bought everything. But every time they buy something, Mike owns half. And they were mad as hell. Yeah, he was mad as hell. That's why he always said it was a conspiracy to try to take it away from me. But he had that power, and 50 Cent didn't have that power. So now he looks bad to the public, losing a lawsuit to Rick Ross. So it's just the whole thing about ownership and equity. Like Jay-Z and Beyonce, everything is equity. Beyonce says, pay me in equity, you know? It's just, and that whole business boss mindset. And that's what you guys are exhibiting with everything that you're doing. And I hope you continue to inspire people in that regard.